Today we'll be showing you how to remove and install a Volvo variable valve timing hub. This method will work on both the spring-loaded and non-spring-loaded hubs. For demonstration purposes, we'll be using a junkyard engine so that you can see the process a little more clearly than you would if the engine were in the car. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to need to do is align the timing marks on the engine. Now you'll notice that we have already painted the marks so that you can see them a little better, but what we're doing is rotating them a quarter turn past the marks and then backing the timing belt up so that the factory marks align on the crankshaft and both camshafts. The next thing we're going to do is remove the upper timing cover and make marks on the back of the cam gears and to the head. This will be necessary in order to aid us in lining the hubs back up. Disregard the red light, it was for filming purposes. Now that we've made marks on the back of the cam gears corresponding to the cylinder head, we're going to go ahead and remove the timing belt. Next, we're going to go ahead and install the camshaft locking tool. We're going to pop the plug out on the non-BVT hub, and you'll see that the camshaft sensor and pickup have already been removed from the exhaust side. You'll notice also that the exhaust cam is angled slightly. You'll need to straighten that in order to align the tool properly. You can just do this with a flathead screwdriver. The tool is slotted so it only goes in one way. You'll either need to purchase this tool or make a variation of your own, but either way the camshafts do have to be locked in order to do this job. So we're going to go ahead and insert the tool now and tighten down the bolts. It should be noted that Volvo also makes a crankshaft locking tool, and per their instructions it should be used, but the crank is extraordinarily difficult to move on its own, and that step just isn't really necessary for this job. Now that we've got the camshaft locking tool in place, you'll be able to see the spring-loaded action of the variable valve timing hub. You'll notice we can rotate it and then immediately springs back. On some variations of these engines, the hub is not spring-loaded and you would have to manually move it back. At this point, we're going to make a timing mark that corresponds with the rest position to the mark we previously made on the back of the cam gear. This is going to be used for installation purposes when we install the hub back again. Now we're going to remove the center plug from the variable valve timing unit. This is done so that we can access the center bolt that actually secures the hub to the camshaft. This bolt is torqued very tight, so you will need to use considerable force in order to remove it. This is why locking camshafts is absolutely necessary to do this job. With the center bolt removed, we can now remove the hub from the camshaft. You'll notice the mark we made on the back that corresponds to the marks made on the back of the head. If you were replacing your camshaft seals, you would go ahead and do that at this point and reinstall those. Install the camshaft hub and align the mark that you made on the back of the hub to the mark that you made at the rest position on the back of the head. Clean the bolt off. This bolt needs to be oil-free and dry when you reinstall so as not to over-torque the bolt. Now we're going to go ahead and align the mark that we made on the back of the cam gear to the mark that we made at the rest position, or the second mark we made. Snug the center bolt down lightly and rotate the hub so that it matches the first mark you made at the end stop. If it doesn't align, back the bolt off and then you can adjust as necessary. Now that the marks align, when the hub is rotated to its end position or limit position, we're ready to torque the center bolt. The center bolt is torqued to 88 foot-pounds. After you've properly torqued the center bolt, we're going to reinstall the plug that goes back inside the hub. Tighten the plug down and make sure that the final camshaft resting position corresponds to your original timing marks, as seen here. Now we're ready to reinstall the timing belt. Slide the belt under the crankshaft, over the idler pulley, around the intake cam gear, and now you'll need to rotate the exhaust hub to its end or limit position. Failure to do this step will result in a check engine light. This procedure is the same for both spring-loaded and non-spring-loaded models. Those of you with dual variable valve timing will obviously have to do this for both cam gears. Next, we're going to adjust the timing belt tensioner. Now, there are several variations of this tensioner depending on year and model. Some tensioners are tightened by rotating counterclockwise. In this particular case, we are going to rotate the tensioner clockwise. Consult your timing belt kit for proper instructions on how to tension. Reinstall the upper cover, and now we're going to remove the camshaft locking tool from the rear. Those of you with dual variable valve timing will notice that you have two camshaft position sensors and two pickups. Those with just one variable valve timing hub will have one camshaft position sensor and a plug on the non-VVT camshaft. Reinstall the plug by simply tapping it into place. When you reinstall the camshaft position sensor pickup, make sure that the orientation is correct or the engine will fail to start. Bar the engine over by hand and ensure that the timing belt tensioner is set correctly and that the timing marks align.